All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking through that break. If you are new here, we just finished talking about Justin Fields, everything that's been going on with him, and what the Bears might do with that first overall pick. We will keep covering that story as it develops. Remember, if you would like to leave a tip or donation here for the stream, all you need to do is go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork/tip. Again, that's streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork/tip. Your message will come across the screen, and we will be answering that right away. But here in the second segment, I want to talk about the news of college football playoffs officially being expanded to 12 teams. Earlier today, uh, it came out in unanimous votes by the College Football Playoff Committee that they had approved the switch from 4 to 12 teams, or in the playoff in the new college football playoffs. The way that the format is going to work is it's going to be a 5+7 system. So the first 5 teams are going to be the highest ranked conference champions, and the top 4 are going to get byes. So most likely going to be the Power 4, now that the Pac-12 is no longer a football league. So Power 4 conferences are probably going to get the byes, that being the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12. They're going to get those byes, and then there's going to be one group of 5 with an auto bid. That's going to be the highest ranked team that wins their conference. So we're looking at most likely a team from either the American or the Sun Belt, or this year I believe it would have been Liberty, an independent school. But outside of that, it would be the next 7 highest ranked teams. So say that the top 4 are all division conference winners, then you would get teams 5 through 11, or however that would work. The next 7 ranked teams would get into the playoffs. This has been a discussion for a while of what to do here with the college football expansion, whether or not it's worth it to have more than 12 teams. And it's been a very heated debate. It came to a head this year with Florida State getting excluded from the playoffs, even though they were a undefeated Power 4, Power 5 conference champion. They won the ACC. They were 13-0. They were a little banged up, but they got jumped by Alabama and Texas, who did not go undefeated. So there were a lot of gripes made over that, and there's been other, gripes made in the past for expanding it, and it seems to have a lot of support behind it, expanding. But there's ups and downs to this. We go back. The college football playoff has been a thing since 2014. So 10 years of the current 4-team college football playoff model. Before that, it was just a championship game. Before the top 2 teams, for the top 2 teams to play for the championship. And even before that, there wasn't even a game. They just picked a winner. So there's been a history of expansion, and each time it's been a good thing. But this one's been probably the most heated of the expansion debates, because moving to 12 teams, really what it's done is, as a byproduct of this whole college football playoff system, is devalue bowl games. And we see that already with the 4-team college football playoff, how little bowl games seem to matter to programs anymore, to players in these programs. Everyone's skipping their bowl games. It's not a big deal. Coaches are leaving before the bowl games are done. Players are entering the portal before the bowl games are happening. Everything is just a mess with the bowl system. Um, and that's not just because of the college football playoff. It has a lot to do with the transfer portal taking over college football. Is really a whole new sport since that's been added in. But the expansion to 12 teams is probably a good move. 12 is a lot of teams. If I was doing it, I'd probably move it to 8 before I moved it to 12. But what 12 does do is it allows these group of 5 schools to get a bid, which, as much as much as they aren't at the same level as these Power 5 schools, I mean, there are group of 5 teams that deserve the chance to compete in these playoffs. A little biased maybe here for me, but James Madison was a very good football team this year. It has been for a while. You've seen that Tulane team. They won their New Year's Six Bowl just a couple years ago against one of these Power 5 teams. So there are some very, very good group of 5 teams, and it's good to get this representation. Expanding to 12 teams gives you more of a chance of having Cinderella runs. Now, in football, it's going to be a lot harder than in basketball to have these Cinderella runs happen, but it makes it more accessible for these programs, so it doesn't feel like it's just these same 4 that are running college football. But there's also some negatives to it. As much as expanding it is a good thing for now, you don't want to get to the point where it is a March Madness size playoff. It works in basketball. Because it's such a unique tournament, and basketball is the sport that's perfect for it. You can play that many games. Football is too much to keep expanding these playoffs. You're going to get to the point where, and this is something that the NCAA needs to check themselves on, you're going to get to the point where they're going to want to expand this again. And it's only been 10 years since the last expansion. It's only been 10 years since they moved it to 4 teams, and they've already moved it up to 12. You don't want to get to a point where the NCAA is getting money hungry again and makes this a 24-team playoff. Expands it to all of that top 25. It is a foreseeable future that I can see happening, and it's not a good one. 12 is already pushing it, to be honest. 12 is a lot of teams in the playoffs, especially the way that it is gonna be set up. I know there's a million teams in college football, but 12 is a lot of teams, and that's a lot of extra games to have these kids play. But overall, this move is a positive move. Overall, expanding to 12 teams, it's going to shine some light on, especially for those group of 5 schools. And I think that is the biggest positive in all of this, that there will be a group of 5 team in these playoffs every year. Giving the group of 5 some love is really big for the sport of college football. The group of 5 really is what's keeping college football, I think. The SEC and the Big Ten have become this huge kind of corporation. You see they've come together and they've made some coalition here recently. And they're kind of setting up to fight the NCAA. a little bit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The NCAA has not been the greatest organization, but having college football be college football and not be the NFL light is something that's really important. There's a reason that there are college football fans and they're different from NFL fans. They're the same sport, but they're different. They have different cultures and different vibes and aesthetics around each other, around the game itself. And if you keep on corporatizing college football, you keep adding more and more kind of free agent type stuff, you're going to lose that bond that fans have with the players. I don't mind the transfer portal that much, but it can get out of hand, and it's starting to get a little bit out of hand, where now you're only having players show up for 1 year before leaving, and they're doing this at every single school. They've gotten rid of the restriction that's making them sit out a year if they transfer more than once. So it's only going to get more. And I understand the game has to evolve. But the transfer portal is kind of threatening and college football as it is. It's changing the game. It's making it almost completely a new game. It adds that kind of free agency that you don't see in most other collegiate sports. And it's part of it. It is. I think the transfer portal really is a positive thing for the game in general, but it can get out of hand. It can get to the point where you have these guys that jump ship year after year, and you can get to the point where teams are there 1 year, they have success, especially if it's a group of 5 program, and then they get torn to shreds by these bigger ones. And it's hard for them to build out of the hole because they're losing all of these big players, all of these people that can help their program succeed. So having the playoff expand is going to help, especially with that group of 5 school that makes it. It's going to help draw people to those group of 5 schools as opposed to away from them. But yeah, the college football playoff has expanded. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think are going to be the ramifications of this before we move into our next segment, which we'll be talking about Major League Baseball possible expansions. Stick around for the next segment. We will be right back.